This morning, it has been 1 year since 13-year-old Alex Mackiewicz was killed on his way to school. Now his mom is working with lawmakers to make stronger penalties for cases like this.
Now, as reporter Courtney Yoon joins us from Alex's memorial tree in Highlands Ranch. Courtney, you just talked to his mom a few minutes ago. My mom's heart just breaks for her.
Yes, good morning, Corey and Jordan. We did just speak with Victoria, Alex's mom. Her and some of the other neighbors and community members are now heading over to the cemetery to go visit Alex's grave. But if you look behind me here, you can see his memorial. You could tell just how loved Alex was in this community and how much he still is today. We've been seeing neighbors walk up here and drop off flowers so far this morning. And this tree stands near the intersection and memorial stands near the intersection where Alex was killed on Highlands Ranch Parkway and Veniford Ranch Road here in Highlands Ranch. He was hit and killed on March 6th, and that morning a man was driving a work van, ran through a red light while Alex was in the crosswalk heading to school. The driver, Ruben Morones, wasn't speeding or impaired. Morones pleaded guilty back in October to careless driving resulting in death. He was sentenced to 1 year of jail time and a $1,000 fine. Now Alex's mom is working with legislators in the hopes of making roadways safer for everyone.
Because today defense attorney keeps repeating the word misdemeanor, like it's something minor. There is nothing minor about human life, nothing minor. And in my opinion, punishment has to be proportional to the outcome of the crash.
And there will be a candlelight vigil today for Alex at 7 p.m. over at Topfer Park, just down the road here from this intersection. And we did get to speak with Victoria, Alex's mom, this morning, and what a strong lady she is. She's really fighting to make the penalties harsher for a case like this, and she's working with other families in the area that have also lost loved ones on this. So hopefully that she can use her community strength to get through the grief that she's going through, and she's working really hard with all of this. Live in Highlands Ranch, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
Yeah, Alex's death really shook the community, so I have a feeling that vigil is going to be really crowded there tonight. Courtney, thank you for the update. Well, on Wednesday, America got an up-close look at Denver's immigration policies.
Mayor Mike Johnston took questions under oath before Congress at a 6-hour hearing. During the hearing, Johnston avoided being the main character of that hearing. He also restrained and defended Denver's handling of the migrant crisis in a way that got some Republicans to admit he faced a brutally tough situation.
It wasn't perfect, and it required sacrifice from all of us. But in the end, Denver came out stronger and closer than we were before. Because Americans expect us to do more than point fingers. They expect us to solve problems. So if Denver can find a way to put aside our ideological differences long enough to manage a crisis we didn't choose or create, it seems only fair to ask that the body that is actually charged with solving this national problem, this Congress, can finally commit to do the same.
Colorado's most prominent questioner on the committee, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, did not prompt any noteworthy exchanges in what was her first ever conversation with Denver's mayor. Our Kyle Clark exclusively sat down with Boebert and Johnston after the hearing. We will hear what they had to say coming up on 9 News at 8 o'clock. We're also speaking with our 9 News legal expert at 7:40 this morning about whether the president can withhold federal funds from the city.
Right now, Colorado health officials are warning people to check their vaccine status as we get closer to spring break travel. Once considered an eliminated disease in the U.S., measles is a highly contagious virus now circulating in a few states, the worst in Texas. State health leaders here say some people might be due for a new vaccine. This includes those vaccinated between 1957 and 1968 who got a previous and less effective form of the vaccine.
That was not the same vaccine that we are using now, a less effective vaccine. And so there is a recommendation if you received that vaccine to receive the updated vaccine to make sure that you are protected.
Between 1968 and 1989, people were getting 1 dose of the MMR vaccine. Generally, health officials say you should still have good protection and should not need a booster. Anyone vaccinated after 1989 would have gotten 2 doses of the vaccine. State health officials say to talk to your doctor if you aren't sure of your risk or your vaccine history.
It has been at least 5 years since the COVID-19 pandemic took hold here in Colorado, and some of us are trying to move past it. But workers at HCA Health One Rose say that an experience like that changes you as a person and healthcare as a system. March 5th, 2020 marked the first COVID-19 case that was reported in Colorado. In the weeks that followed, countries locked down. Masks became required and cases climbed higher and higher as the pandemic took hold here in Colorado and around the world. Casey Goober with HCA Health One Rose Medical Center says as the pandemic changed, so did attitudes about healthcare workers on the front lines.
It was interesting to see how the communities rallied around us, whether it was free food, whether it was pans being banged through windows as people were coming in for their shifts, and then items started getting politicized like the vaccines, and we saw an increase in workforce violence towards healthcare workers.
Gruber says the lessons they learned in the pandemic, like telemedicine and virtual visits, are still felt to this day throughout the healthcare system in Colorado.
A federal judge is issuing a new preliminary injunction saying the Trump administration's efforts to drastically cut federal funding for public health research was likely unlawful. The temporary court order projects a loss of life would be the result if cuts were enforced and research trials were suspended. The Trump policy would have reduced funding for research institutions by billions of dollars. The judge's 76-page opinion said the administration likely broke both regulatory requirements and a law passed by Congress. That legislation was created to prevent the first Trump administration from implementing such a policy.
This morning, thousands of recently fired Department of Agriculture employees could be heading back to work for a while. The probationary workers were let go as part of the Trump administration's goal to decrease the federal civil service sector, but a special counsel who reviewed employee claims said the layoffs appear to be illegal, and the Protection Board agreed. Employees are able to return to work immediately for at least a month and a half. The board will now look closer at the legal questions surrounding the mass layoffs.
The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected the Trump administration's efforts to block foreign aid spending. The justices ruled that the administration must unfreeze about $57 billion approved by Congress to U.S. aid. Nonprofit groups, which receive some of the funds, say the lives of millions of people around the world are at stake. The White House says it is trying to manage spending. The ruling didn't say when the money must be released, and because of that, the matter is expected to continue to play out in lower courts.